Christ Grace Unlimited is a ministry dedicated to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, worshiping God in spirit and in truth, through Christ's sound doctrine, exalting His word above all things. The Bible says in Romans chapter 10, verse 14 through 15, "How then shall they call on Him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in Him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent?" We welcome all of you to the CGU, Christ Grace Unlimited, spreading the gospel of grace and love to all. We thank you, and remember, Christ is still on the throne.
Tester 1, 2, 3. All right. Welcome to CGU, Christ Grace Unlimited. My name is Trust in Christ, and we're going to continue where we left off in the book of Judges, which we're on the book of Judges, chapter 19. And to quickly recap, we pretty much probably cover a portion because it's hinted in Revelation that pretty much the tribe of Dan was cut off from their inheritance because they took a priest for themselves from the tribe of Levi and chose idolatry instead of putting away their idols and doing what God commanded them to do. And one thing that we learned, earlier last week and at the end of last week is pretty much when God made a promise to Israel, He told them to get rid of the idols, get rid of the gods, and pretty much, Dan, they desired to occupy the territory that was promised to them, but because they weren't obedient and they took for themselves a prophet that, pretty much idol worship, God pretty much cut them off. All right, so we're going to chapter 19, and to put it short, the whole thing of the book of Judges is summed up like this. And Israel did what was right according to their own eyes. And we have to remember that there is a way that seems right unto men, but the end thereof is destruction. That's why the commands of Christ has to be followed. Because our way might seem right, but guess what? Because it's sinful, at times, not all the times, because sometimes we get it right in ignorance, but because we're imperfect, guess what? We mess up and we do things that cause everything to go off course. And that's the same thing with Israel. Because Israel did not consult God and they just acted on their own, self-interest and did what they thought was right. They could not occupy all the territory that God promised them because they were disobedient. All right, let's go into chapter 19. And it came to pass in those days when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah. And there was 4 whole months. And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses, and she brought him into her father's house. And when her father of the damsels saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. And to get a little context, typically, when a woman was a harlot, their only protection is their father or the male covering patriarch of their family. We'll get into that a little later, another lesson about the headship issue that typically happens. All right, and pretty much if you're a harlot and a whore, if this woman was under, Israel when they obeyed God, typically she would be either divorced or stoned to death if the man was found who she was whoring with them was there. Let's go to verse 3. And her husband arose, and he went after her to speak friendly unto her. Pretty much he wanted her back, which me personally I wouldn't. And to bring her again, having his servant with them, and a couple of asses, and she brought him into her father's house. And it's pretty much for her own safety, because remember, typically it was death for a whore to go back to her husband, because remember the punishment of adultery was death, stoning. And she brought him into her father's house, and when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him, because guess why? One less mouth to feed, and guess what? Who's going to take my daughter who's known as a harlot? All right. Verse 4. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So did he eat and drink and lodge there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he arose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and afterwards go your way. And they sat down and did eat and drink both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thine heart be merry. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father says, Comfort thine heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until afternoon. And they did eat both of them. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draweth towards evening. I pray you tarry all night. So pretty much stay here. Behold, the day groweth to the end. Lodge here, that thy heart may be merry, and go morrow early, and go on your own way. Thou mayest go home. But the man would not tarry that night. But he arose up and departed, and came against Jubas, which is Jerusalem, and there went with them 2 asses saddled. His concubine was also with him. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent. And the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray thee, let us turn into the city of the Jebusites, and lodge in it. And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger. That is not of the children of Israel. We will not pass over to Gibeah. Or Gibeah, Gibeah. And he said unto his servant, Come, and let us draw near to one of those places to lodge all night. In Gibeah, or in Ramah. And they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down upon them when they were in Gibeah, which belongeth to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go in and lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he sat him down in the street of the city, for there was no man that took them into his house of lodging. And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at even, which was also of the Mount Ephraim. And he sojourned in Gibeah, but the men of that place were the Benjamites. And you're going to see what's going to happen. It's going to be kind of tragic. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the streets of the city. And the old men said, Whither goest thou? And whence comest thou? And he said unto him, We are passing from Benjamin Judah, towards the side of Ephraim. From thence I am. And I went to Benjamin Judah, but I am now going to the house of the Lord. And there is no man that receiveth me to house. Yet there is both straw and provender for our asses. And there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is with thy servants. There is no want of anything. So pretty much, come with me. We got enough resources here for you to lodge. And let's not forget, and you got to think about it. This father-in-law, typically in culture, you don't want your daughter staying with you for the rest of your days. That's a tragic thing. Typically in culture, you want your daughter to have a good husband that will take care of you. But because she was a whore, she fled away from this Levite priest. Let's look at it like that. And pretty much when we look at this situation so far, the father is trying to get this priest, this man of good standing, this Levite, to pretty much go back unto his daughter who is whoring. So let's think about it. He's trying to get him to stay at his house, and he would not lodge there. So he's lodging in the city where Benjamites are present. All right, verse 20. And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Whosoever, let all thy wants lie upon me. Only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into his house, gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet and did eat and drink. So he was a good servant. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and they beat at the door and spake to the master of the house. And one thing I want to say, this sounds a little bit like Lot, but it's not the same situation. The old man saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. Don't it sound like Sodom and Gomorrah? We want to see them angels, that we may know them. All right. And the man, the master of the house, went but unto them, and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly, seeing that this man is come into my house. Do not this folly. This man, he's a foreigner, he's a stranger, he's not from here. Do not defile, do not violate this man. Because guess what? I didn't want him to be on these streets. I let him lodge here for his own safety. Do not, because this sounds like Sodom and Gomorrah with the angels, where Lot, lodged the angels in his house. Do not do this shame unto me. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden. And it's funny, don't it sound like Sodom and Gomorrah? And his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them. Ain't that funny? Sounds, again, like what? Sodom and Gomorrah. What did Lot do? And this is a moral, depraved society. This is a morally depraved town. And he wants to be known as a good host. So instead of bringing out his stranger for them to know them, which is sexual, he offered his whore daughter and the maiden, the handmaiden, for them to humble them and to do with them what seemeth good unto you. But not unto this man do not so a vile thing. But the man would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her, and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. So they defiled, they raped, they defiled this woman, and then they let her go in the morning. And these are Benjamites. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day, and they fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was till it was night. Now let me say this. This is a tragic thing, but does God approve of this? No. But guess what? Just like the scripture says, Israel did what was right in their own eyes. This is not what God commanded. Same thing with Lot. God did not command Lot to offer his daughters in place of the angel. But guess what? He did it. They defiled that woman. And during the day, she was laying, waste. She was, messed up from being defiled by the men in that city. And guess what? And her Lord rose up early in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. Trash. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. Let us go. Get up. Get out my way. Get out the doorway. Let us go. But none answered. The man took her upon an ass, so upon her donkey, and the man rose up and gat him unto his place. And when he was come into his house, he took a knife and laid hold on his concubine and divided her together with her bones into 12 pieces and sent her into all the coast of Israel. That's brutal. So he killed the whore concubine that was his wife and mailed her to the 12 posts of Israel. So each tribe, they got a piece of this woman. Now, does God approve of this? No. But again, Israel did what was right upon their own eyes. And we're going to see the fallout for this very, thing that happened. And it was so that all that saw it said, there is no such deed done. Excuse me, let me repeat that. And it was so that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done, nor from that day, nor from that day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt unto this day, consider of it. Take a vice and speak your minds. And we're going to see what happens. Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead, unto the Lord of Mizpah. And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, Tell us, how was this wickedness? We heard rumors of what this man did to this woman. How did it happen? We heard this rumor spread of this wife, this lesser wife, that was cut up. What happened? What happened? And we know what happened, pretty much. The men of that town gathered around to get to that priest. And the father of that house gave their daughter. She was raped. She was violated. She was, taken advantage of. And that morning, pretty much she was cut into 12 pieces and mailed to each tribe. And pretty much the tribes met together to see, what are we going to do to this wickedness? We never seen such wickedness happen before. What are we going to do? And pretty much it's going to be a war against the tribe of Benjamin. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were going up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, tell us, how was this wickedness? And the men of Gibeah rose against me, and beset the house round about upon me by night, and thought to have me slain. And my concubine have they forced that she was dead. And I took my concubine, cut her into pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel, for they have committed lewdness and folly in Israel. Behold, ye all children of Israel, give here your advice and counsel. So he told what happened. And all the people arose as one man, saying, we will not of any of us go to his tent, neither will we any of us turn unto his house. But now this shall be the thing which we will do to Gibeah. We will go up by lot against it. So pretty much what happened. Because this man's wife was defiled, and he killed her, after she was raped and violated, and he divided her up, they're not going to his house, but they're going to the city that defiled the woman. So this is what happened. So Benjamin, according to Israel, is guilty. So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man, and this is 400,000 men going against one city. And the tribes of Israel sent men throughout all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, what wickedness is this that is done among you? And remember, what does this situation remind you of? It's the same, pretty much the same spirit as the spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah. Let us get this man, this stranger, this priest that is in this city. And the father of that house, who tried to protect them, gave their daughter. The daughter was defiled. The husband saw what was done unto his concubine and killed her. So Israel is going upon this city to destroy it. For what they have done, Benjamin has done to this woman, the tribe of Benjamin. Now therefore, verse 13, deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Israel, because they defiled this woman, and they sought to defile this Levite man. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren and the children of their brethren, the children of Israel. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities of Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at the time of the cities of 26,000 men that drew swords, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. Among all this people were 700 chosen men left-handed. Everyone could sling stones at an air and breath and not miss. And the men of Israel, besides Benjamin, were numbered at 400,000 men that drew swords. So, you got outnumbered. So pretty much Benjamin is screwed, because 400,000 against their number, they about to die. And all these were men of war. So they were all of military age. So from the age of 20 up to, I think, they were retired at, I have to double check when their retiring age, but I think 70 or 60 was, I have to double check that. If anybody can double check that for me, please do, and just bring it back up to me a little bit later. All right, verse 18. And the children of Israel rose and went up to the house of God and asked God for counsel. So now y'all ask God for counsel. So I want y'all to pay attention to this. When were they counseled of God? Not when this matter first happened, but right before they went to battle. Remember, Israel was doing what was right in their own eye. All right. Which of us shall go up first to battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin, and the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them in Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men. And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until even, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And the Lord said, Go up against him. And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground the children of Israel, 18,000 men. All these drew their sword. And all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings, peace offerings before the Lord. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, so this is son of Aaron, a priest, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease? And the Lord said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into thine hand. And Israel set liers in wait round about Gibeah. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibeah, as at other times. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city. And they began to smite the people and kill, as at other times, in the highways, which goeth up at the house of God, and others too, Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said, They are smitten down before us, as at the first. But the children of Israel said, Let us flee, and draw them from the cities unto the highway. And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place, and put themselves in array at Baltimore. And the liers in wait of Israel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all of Israel. And the battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel. And the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,100 men. All these drew the sword. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten. For the men of Israel gave place to the Benjamites, because they trusted unto their liers in wait, which they set beside Gibeah. And the liers in wait hasted and rushed upon Gibeah, and the liers in wait drew themselves along, and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now there was appointed and signed between the men of Israel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great name with smoke, and rise up out of the city. And when the men of Israel retired in the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Israel about 30 persons. And they said, Surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle. But when the flame began to arise out of the city, with a pillar of smoke. The Benjamites looked behind them, and behold, a flame of the city ascended up into heaven. And when the men of Israel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that the evil was come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men. Echo. BC, mute your mic. Alright. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel unto the way of their wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about, so they trapped them, and chased them, and trod them down with ease over against Gibeah towards the sun rising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were men of valor, so men of might. And they turned and fled towards the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon. And they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, pursued hard after them unto Gideon, and slew 2,000 men of them. So that all that which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and abode in the rock of Rimmon for 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well as every city, as the beasts, and all that came to hand. Also they that set fire, all the cities they came to. Alright, so pretty much when we look at the tribe of Benjamin, pretty much they were wiped out for this. And now with this sin, pretty much the same spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah was the same sin that the tribe of Benjamin did to this woman. They raped her. Now she was a whore, but they raped her, they defiled her, to the fullest extreme. And her husband, after that, after he saw what was done to her, that doesn't mean it's right what he did. He killed her and mailed her body to the 12 tribes of Israel. And God, pretty much gave them provision to destroy that tribe with the men thereof, not just one man, but pretty much the city, defiled this woman. And let's see what happened. So pretty much that city was annihilated. The men were emasculated. And you can pretty much say the tribe of Benjamin is no more. Judges 21. We might as well finish this. Now the men of Israel had sworn in Mizpah, saying, there shall not any of us give his daughter unto Benjamin to wife. Because guess what? The men are dead, but the daughters are there. And when we read the law of Moses, pretty much the law is this, is pretty much if your brother dies, before any child is, risen up, pretty much your brother will marry you, and that first child will be raised in your brother's name. Now after that, if there's any more children, it'll be raised in your name. So we see this happening here. So pretty much that is the law. So though the males are dead, the tribe of Benjamin has a new generation in their brother's name, Benjamin. Now the men of Israel had sworn in Mizpah, saying, there shall not any of us give his daughter unto Benjamin to wife. And the people came to the house of God and abode there until even before God lifted up their voices and wept sore, because guess what? They killed their own, and they annihilated and wiped out this tribe for what for the evil that they had did to this woman in the city. And it came to pass on the morrow that the people rose up early and built there an altar and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the children of Israel said, who is there among all the tribes of Israel that came not up with the congregation unto the Lord? For they had made a great oath concerning him that came not up to the Lord to Mizpah, saying, he should surely be put to death. And the children of Israel repented them for Benjamin their brother, saying, there is one tribe cut off from this day. And speaking of Benjamin, how shall we do for wives for them that remain? Seeing we have sworn by the Lord that we will not give them of our daughters to wives. And they said, what one is there of the tribe of Israel that came not to Mizpah to the Lord? And behold, there came none to the camp of Jabesh Gilead to the assembly, for the people were numbered. And behold, there were none of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead there. And the congregation sent thither 12,000 men of the valiantest, and commanded them, saying, go and smite the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, with the women and the children. And this is the thing that you should do. You shall utterly destroy every male and every woman that have lain by man. And they found among the inhabitants Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins that had known no man by laying with any male. And they brought them unto the camp of Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. And the whole congregation sent some to speak, to put the children of Benjamin that were in the rock of Rimmon, and to call peacefully unto them. And Benjamin came again at the time, and they gave them wives, which they saved alive, of all the women of Jabesh Gilead. We're almost done. And yet so they sufficed them not. And the people repented them for Benjamin, because that the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. Then the elders of the congregation said, how shall we do for wives of them that remain, seeing that the women are destroyed out of Benjamin? And they said, there must be an inheritance for them that be escaped of Benjamin, that a tribe be not destroyed out of Israel. Howbeit we not give them wives of our daughters, for the children of Israel have sworn, saying, cursed be he that giveth a wife to Benjamin. And this is where the law comes into place that I brought up. Then they said, behold, there is a feast of the Lord of Shiloh yearly in a place which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goeth up on the side of Bethel, on the east side to Shechem, and on the south side of Lebanon. Therefore they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, go and lie wait in the vineyards. And see, and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in dances, then come out of the vineyards, and catch of you every man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. And it shall be, when their fathers or brethren come unto us to complain, that we will say unto them, be favorable unto them for our sakes, because we have reserved not every man his wife in the war. For ye did not give them unto this time, that ye should be guilty. And the children of Benjamin did so, took them wives according to their number of them that danced, whom they caught, and they went and returned unto their inheritance, and repaired the cities, and dwelt in them. And the children of Israel departed thence at that time, every man to his tribe, and to his family, and they went out from thence, every man to his inheritance. In those days there was no king in Israel. And pretty much the key verse of this whole book, and I like how this book ends on this: every man did which was right in his own eyes. Tragic book. Alright, so that's going to be the conclusion of Bible study. Any comments, any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Hold on. Vessel Yahweh first.
Oh,
I was gonna say This is why you don't hastily make promises, because the children of Israel did it several times during the book of Judges where they made a hasty promise and then they ended up biting him in the butt. Also, I like how you kept repeating about the every man did what was right in his own eyes, because I know artists said it last study, but a lot of atheists or a lot of people who don't know the Bible, they'll say, "Oh, look in the Bible, God condone this." No, it makes a clear statement that these people did not um, seek God's counsel; they just did what they thought was right. And what it comes down to is those people were rebelling. They did not want to listen to God until they got into a situation where they had to ask God for help.
Pretty much.
So yeah, they did not want to obey God, and this is what happens when the generation before them doesn't keep the commandment by passing down the knowledge and wisdom. What happened with God, what they did in Israel, or what they did in Egypt, remembering, celebrating the Passover, all that kind of. This is what happens when you don't train your child up in the way they should go, because they're quickly depart from wisdom. So
Gotcha. I go ahead, Ezrael saying. I don't know if I'm saying.
As he's fine. Just as he's fine. I was just gonna say I looked up the question you had earlier about the retirement age, and it said at least I don't know if this is true, but it said 50.
50. Okay. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, it was 20 to, I think, I know with the elders of Israel, 70 where they will retire them. But that's, like a tribal leader. Thank you, man.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks, man. Anybody else? Okay. All right, so we're gonna close out on that note on the Book of Judges, and man, that was a tragic story. Yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to me, but again, that just shows how wicked the tribe of Benjamin was, and not only them, pretty much every chapter, because this was like, a cycle. This is a generational curse. Israel in this book of Judges, what we see is they didn't fully obey God. And where did it start? It started with the generation of Joshua. And even Joshua made mistake as well, because, again, they were tricked and deceived, sparing a tribe, because guess what? They didn't consult God about what they should do. They disobeyed God as far as driving out, these, people that were wicked and evil, sacrificing their children, committing adultery, committing bestiality, mutilating their daughters and their sons. And as we see right here, raping women. These things that the tribe of Benjamin learned came from these inhabitants of these pagan nations that God told them to drive out. But instead, what did they do? They made them pay tribute, taxes. They allowed their children to intermingle with one another, and pretty much just like we see today, their children rose up and took up customs that weren't from God, and they became like unto those people. So it's quite interesting. And another thing I want to say is quite interesting, to see the similarities of this circumstance, and kind of reverse of Sodom and Gomorrah, because in Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot offered, his daughters, to spare the angels, and guess what? Those men did not take the daughters. And pretty much the angels, destroyed that city. So you can pretty much say this is a similar judgment to the city of Benjamin, which is why God allowed this destruction to happen. But in this scenario, the man offered his daughter, and guess what happened? The man, raped that daughter and spared that man that lodged in that town, even though he didn't want to take his daughter with him. His wife, and it's probably because she was a whore, and that's probably why he didn't want to lodge with them. And guess what? They took her. They did as the father said, as they wanted unto her, and she died. I mean, she when morning came and she went to the door defiled and raped, they pretty much put her out. She returned to her husband, and her husband killed her and nailed her for the evil which was done. This doesn't mean what the husband did was right again. Because did the husband, go to the Lord for this thing? Nope. He just killed her. Like, man, this woman is useless. Let me kill her. And guess what? Israel heard of this matter. They didn't, go after him, but they went after the entire tribe that did this thing. And this should tell us one thing. When you allow sin to, manifest in a town and city, it pretty much shows how in the days of Noah, pretty much, every thought of men was exceedingly wicked. Look at your cities. Look at your towns where gang violence is prevalent, where lawlessness, raises up. This is, not something that's too far-fetched. This is something that we see that will rise up even this very day until our Lord Jesus returns. All right, James, close us out. The CGU.
The CGU
Okay.
and all about biblical works are brought to you in part by
The Bible.